Lord, happy Friday. And I'm trusting that you enjoy the playlist because you can never go wrong with the Good Morning Africa Breakfast Show brought to you by McLee Fashion and Design. I did a promise that I do have a guest with me today. Super excited. Should I refer you as a DJ Akio?
Yeah, that's all good.
Right.
You can also just call me Akio.
Akio, how are you doing, Akio?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm all good. I can't complain. Me, Pella, the energy is always on 100. I don't have a choice. Please introduce yourself to our listeners.
What's up, DJ Akio? Founder of Strictly Soul. But if you've been on the music scene for a while, I've been doing a lot of things for the last 17 years. I did Kool Out, which was a hip-hop based party in Cape Town and Joburg. Done a lot of international concerts, but now I'm really on the R&B tip.
Oh, R&B tip. Yeah. So that's the genre that you normally play.
Well, it is now. Like, that's what I'm focusing on, yeah.
Oh, okay. So when did you start to DJ?
Oh, man, that was when I graduated from university. So my father's Japanese, so I moved to Japan. And it was I had a job, like a job. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time I had a little bit of money in my life. So I convinced my roommate. I always loved hip-hop. So hip-hop was, very big in, developing identity for me as an Asian kid growing up in the U.S. Mm-hmm. So I convinced my roommate. I was like, yo, if I buy a turntable and a mixer, will you buy the other turntable? And he's like, all right, bet, let's go. So we went, had a DJ set up, started throwing parties in our flat. Then we started throwing parties. Mm-hmm. And then I went back to university, and then during that time I was the student DJ, did all the res parties, mm-hmm. The student nights and stuff like that. And then eventually when I moved to South Africa, it kind of became a full-time thing. So mm-hmm. I'd say right around 2008 was when I started doing it more full-time.
Okay. Is it the passion that you had at a very young age, or what inspired you to be a DJ?
Absolutely. I think that I was always kind of more inclined on the creative side. I think about, my father was a teacher and he was an immigrant, so he pushed us in very practical things. My brother's a lawyer, for example. So growing up, we didn't even have a creative outlet, but at the same time, he used to throw all these house parties, and he used to be big into singing and dancing. He used to have the karaoke machine. He used to love cooking and hosting people. Mm-hmm. And he actually passed recently, but I was speaking at his memorial, and it was a lot of his colleagues from the academic world. And I one of the things I said in my speech was, one of the things that we forget about what he actually did was he brought people together through these parties and these networks. And I look at growing up, it's not necessarily the things that your parents tell you. Yeah. It's also the things that they show you. And he never told me to be involved in entertainment, but I could see he, that's what he loved doing. So that's kind of what I think laid the foundation for me wanting to be in events and hosting events and being in music. So
you did also mention that you kind of right now play for R&B, R&B sounds. So anything else that you might want to tackle into regarding any specific genre?
I think that it's, I kind of go with there's two things that kind of define what I do creatively. So one is, what do I love? What am I genuine about? I don't care if the song is the biggest song in the world. If I'm not with it, I don't play anything I don't like. I mean, if it's a corporate or your wedding or something like that, then I'll play whatever you want to play. But if I'm booked as a DJ, then I'm only playing what's authentic to me and what I enjoy. And then the other thing that I really focus on is, I always, when I look for events or the lane that I want to be in, I always look for what do people want, but what's missing. I don't want to just jump on whatever is hot, because then you're just one of 2,000 DJs that are playing. For example, Amapiano. I was playing it very early. I was one of the first hip hop DJs to kind of start playing Amapiano, and then everybody started playing it. So I was like, you know what? Let me jump out of this lane, because right now the genre is so big that unless you're Major League or you got a hit out, if you give your rate, the venue or the promoter, if they don't want to pay your rate, they can get an 18-year-old kid who can play the music just as good as you, and then probably pay them with a 6-pack of Black Label. You know what I'm saying? you don't want to compete with that. The lane you want to be in as an artist is what you do is what you do, and they can't get anybody else. So at that point, I was like, yo, what does everybody really love, but it doesn't exist? A party like that doesn't exist. And I've been thinking about it since 2015, and I was like, yo, R&B. everybody loves R&B,
Yeah.
but there's no party that's R&B. The only thing that exists is like Sunday soul sessions in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
hood,
yeah.
which is like not for us. That's for your auntie. You know what I'm saying? That's like Sunday, you chilling. It's done by 10. We wanted an R&B party that was like just as lit as like a trap or an Amapiano party on a Friday or Saturday night. So that's kind of what we went out to develop. And we started in 2020. Everybody laughed at us. They said no one's gonna come to an R&B party. Kept getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Then people started saying, you know, it's gonna fade out. And then within 2 years, everybody had to switch. Now every club, every promoter is trying to do an R&B party, and we've seen this across Africa. Everywhere we go, we're the first ones to really do an R&B party. The next time we come back to the country, there's 5 R&B parties. You know what I'm saying? But it's at that point, it's about being the best. So like with R&B, I still play a lot of it. If you book me for a set, it's going to be more hip hop, R&B, and Afro beats.
Okay.
But at Strictly Soul, I'm only playing R&B.
All right. And then is there a misconception regarding the, well, if maybe I might say DJ industry?
Okay. In terms of?
In terms of if maybe let's say having to look at with a different eye, because a whole lot of we're seeing the upcomings right now, you know, not necessarily having to even go to school to be a DJ. Like they'll think that, you know, it's kind of easy because we're seeing masses of them coming up.
You know, I think, okay, so I've been DJing a long time. So I guess almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of different trends in music. And I remember when I first came up, I came up on vinyl. So back then it was very exclusive in a sense that it was an expensive thing to do to become a DJ. You had to have turntables, you had to have a mixer, you had to buy vinyl, and if you didn't, you'd have to go and you'd have to be mentored by a DJ. You'd go to their house, practice on their vinyl, stuff like that. And over the course of time, then CDJs came out, then controllers came out, then people were just playing on their laptop as well, and it allowed it to be much more inclusive.
Yeah.
So I remember a lot of it hurt a lot of DJs' careers, because now there's like influencers are DJing, and you know, kids are DJing, everybody's DJing. But for me, I always thought it raises it dilutes the talent, but it also raises the level of competition, because now there's kids who would have never been able to be a DJ can now do it. There's a lot of trash DJs as well, but there's a lot of kids who are talented that never would have had the money or the access. So for me, you know, I looked at it as like the way cab drivers, when Uber came in, they're down in Braamfontein beating up Uber drivers, stuff like that. In my mind, I'm just like, you can't stop technology and progress.
That's true.
You have to adapt. So again, once all these other DJs started coming in, my mentality wasn't, we need to stop these guys. Let's talk trash about them. My thing was, I need to
undermine
adapt.
them at times, you know.
I need to. If I want to compete, I need to adapt and be better. So let me go back and work on my game. Let me rethink the way that I do events. Let me rethink the way that I get bookings. And a lot of DJs from my era didn't survive, but you know, stomping your feet, talking trash isn't gonna save your career. So I'm happy that.
All right, so that's good.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I don't like is that like a lot of DJs learn and practice in their bedroom. Yeah. And then so they don't have a mentor. Like back in the day, we had a mentor who kind of taught you how to play different types of sets. So one of the things I learned now with young kids, they can't play opening sets. They only have one set, which is like lit. And I think that there's a certain art in being able to play the 9 to 10 p.m. set, the 10 to 11 p.m. set, and then from 12 p.m. to 2 a.m., 3 a.m. That's when it's just hype. But being able to play those early sets also will extend your career, because then people can put you anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So
you're flexible to actually tap into anywhere. All right, then we're still chilling with Akio, of course, because now you do have an African tour coming through. So we will talk about that. But then right now we're moving to Moby Dixon, When a House Was a House, featuring Mary Chan and of course a Junior South Africa. Enjoy it. And I am still chilling with Akio, a well-known international DJ. And talking about international, you are touring Africa. When does it begin? Has it started yet? Or
so it starts actually next week. We've got Strictly Soul. When we started this R&B party, you know, the first goal was to be like the biggest R&B party in Johannesburg, which wasn't difficult because there were no R&B parties. Then it was we want to be the biggest R&B party in South Africa. And then eventually the goal was let's be the biggest R&B party in Africa. So at this point, we've got Namibia coming up on the 11th, and we've done, I think, 3 shows. We've sold out 3 shows there, so we're going with a bigger venue. Then on the 25th, we'll be in Nairobi. It'll be our 3rd show. Also sold out the first 2 shows.
Nice.
And then Rwanda on the 31st. So we did a show in Kigali on I think 2 months ago, which is also one of my favorite shows. I love Rwanda. Rwanda's amazing. And then after that, we go to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, June 1st for the last show of the tour. And then after that, I'm all over the world. So then I fly to Malta for a 2-day festival, 3-day festival, then to Sweden for an Afrobeats boat cruise, then to Dubai, then to the US, then to Europe, and then I stroll back in right at the end of August. So also just side note, I don't mess with winter.
Yeah.
Y'all can do winter.
But then
heavy
you forever
coats,
away.
no, that's not for me. That's not for me. I always leave June, July, August.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
Sounds exciting,
It
eh?
is, and I
Honestly.
think I'm so blessed, like to be able to see, and a lot of South Africans don't see enough of Africa in general.
It's
You know what I'm
true.
saying?
Yeah.
Like it's. So I've been really lucky to be able to see so much of the continent. We've got our sites on Uganda, Zambia, Ethiopia, and Ghana. Eventually, hopefully, all this year as well. Depending on time. So, South Africans. I know this is a Pan-African radio station, but to my South Africans here, go see the continent.
No,
It's a beautiful thing.
please. Yeah, definitely. So now we are seeing a whole lot of female DJs, upcoming
Yes.
female DJs. And because I don't know, I do stand corrected because at first it used to be male dominated
You're
industry.
completely right.
So what do you think about that? Like the female taking over and the way they also playing their set, you would see them dancing within the mixture of things. And I don't know if maybe they're using their sexuality, into being, but then what do you think about the overall, the way the movement is heading to?
I think it's a wonderful thing. Again, going back to this goes back to our conversation about like the changes in technology and
Yep.
the availability and how inclusive DJing's become. And again, you're right. I think about back in the day, like our lineups never had any female DJs. And I think that there was a movement about 5 years ago where a lot of brands and stuff like that were really insisting like you have to have make sure you have female DJs on your lineup. And I think now it's to the point where you don't even have to think like that. Female DJs just end up on your lineup. You don't even have to think, I need to add a female DJ, because there's so many really, really good ones that it's become organic. So I think it's a beautiful thing. Our party, Strictly Soul. So one of the main strategies of our party, it's a party for girls. Our party is 70% female. Everything we do for that party is catered to girls. It's like, is the lighting good for a selfie? How many toilets are there? Everything that we do. What is the safety? All of these types of things is all geared towards females. So, having female DJs, nobody knows what girls want more than a girl. So, we do have a lot of female DJs on the lineup. But in terms of using the sexuality, like, go for it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
as
it's a
long
brand.
as you're comfortable with it.
I think that at the end of the day, never let like style overshadow substance.
Yeah.
So if you're using your sexuality but you're a trash DJ, like eventually, although I know some DJs that really use their appearance and are doing quite well. But that being said, I'm not going to hate on that. But I think the main thing is like always also work on your craft as well, and
make sure that you're good in what you do.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, even me, I'm aware. I always make sure that I stay in shape, I dress well, like all these types of things, because I know that again, our crowd is mostly female, so I always try and make my appearance as appealing as well. So I use it also. So I'm all for it. You got to use every tool that you have.
All right. So now, because I'm also an inspiring DJ, I also have to say, what would you or any other tip, advice that you might give me?
So I'd say a couple things, like authenticity comes through. So like I said with myself, play the music that you love. And carve out your lane in that way. You can't play what everybody else plays. So really go and try and find different types of music, break new music, find different ways of transitioning your songs. And then the other thing is, and this is one of the things I love about I'm a Piano, and it's also like to a certain extent changed the way that I DJ a little bit. And like with I'm a Piano, like the songs are quite long, so it's really allowed the DJs that are playing to like not have to worry about focusing on mixing so quickly. So it allows them to dance and really be engaging. So now when I DJ, I'm the same way. I don't have as much time as an I'm a Piano DJ. I've only got about 45 seconds to to really engage, but I'm on the microphone, I'm singing, I'm dancing, I've learned that the energy that you have as a DJ
Yeah.
reflects into the audience. So you need to lead the audience with your energy. You know, if I play at other parties and the DJ that's performing is very calm, mixing, it's cool. Energy's here. But then when I get on and I've got 5 times as much energy, the crowd just
Definitely
goes up. So
Yeah.
I would say, work on like your signature sound, and then also just be as engaging as possible to your audience.
And speaking about being positive to the audience, what genre is more difficult to learn? Because I would think R&B. Because now we spoke about Amapiano, it seems like most of the song are the same beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which genre for you do you think
For
being
me,
in
it's
the
hip-hop.
industry?
I'd say hip hop is
okay.
like R&B also, but I think Amapiano and house are quite easy in a sense that it is kind of the same tempo. You got a long break in terms of like where to mix. Hip hop, you've only got like 6 to 8 bars to come in, and at the same time, like you don't know when the people are talking at the beginning. There's so many things that you have to kind of factor in with hip hop and R&B. So to me, those are a bit more difficult. But yeah, I mean, if you can mix hip hop, you can mix anything.
Wow.
That's kind of like the standard.
So that's where I should start, actually, hip hop.
Well, start with what music do you
what
love?
are we comfortable in? Yeah, because I'm not too sure as of yet that is, but then also I'm a piano because that also gets people dancing, and that's one thing I like to do.
But I think also one of the things now is, again, when I was coming up, you were very defined by what you were a hip hop DJ.
Yeah.
Like I'm old enough to remember when it was like house versus hip hop, like you were on one side or the other. Which team were you on?
Yeah.
Now it's like I can play house and I can play hip hop and I can play house. Now it's open format. Like DJs don't have to be restricted to one genre. You can play everything.
Everything. Yeah. Just be open-minded. Thank you so much for coming through, Akio. And any last words to our listeners, and of course having to even tackle on the touring Africa, but then anything else that we can expect from you?
I would just say be authentic, be passionate. People will see themselves in you. That's the best way as a creative to succeed. I see a lot of people who aren't finding ways to connect with the fan base, and I'm like, you're not connecting because you're not even being true to yourself. How do you expect people to relate to you when you're not even relating to yourself? So be authentic, be passionate, and travel. The world is bigger than Johannesburg in South Africa. You never know where you're like. You may have to leave your country to find your actual fan base and see the people that really see themselves in you and connect. So travel, see the world. You'll always come back. Like there's nothing negative about traveling and learning more. You're just gonna come back, learn more about your sets, learn more about people. See different ways that parties are being done, and it'll only build who you are. So I guess those are my closing thoughts.
Oh, thank you. And of course your social handles.
No doubt. It's Akio_Kawahito. I'll just spell the first part, Akio, AKIO, because it should come up. Like it's actually really easy if you're Japanese. If you're not Japanese, it could be a tough to spell. Then there's Strictly Soul, which is the brand. On Instagram, Strictly Soul Official, and then on TikTok, it's just Strictly Soul. So if you love R&B, come check it out. I'm guaranteeing you'll have the best time.
That is for sure. And thanks once again for coming through to the Good Morning Africa Breakfast Show. Anytime you feel like coming through, please, the door is always open for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Enjoy your day and your weekend. Otherwise, we're still going to continue with the good sounds coming here from the One Africa studios all the way in Johannesburg, South Africa. This is called